Yeah, guys, hi. Very good evening to everyone. Those have joined from the Facebook Live or YouTube Live and join right here in a session. Yeah, Tanvi, good evening. Good evening, Prajakta. Good evening, Rajeshri, Manisha. Good evening, Sanika, Kalyani, Sanam, Akshata, Shraddha, Arti. Good evening, guys. Yeah, here in a call also. Yeah, Jyoti, good evening. So let us begin with our session today. So we guys, yesterday we have seen what is exactly the pattern that is the TCS is going to ask, and we have solved two coding questions right there yesterday. Now today itself, we guys are going to starts with the actual execution of working with the problem statement. So problem statement when it comes to question number one, I got collected right at here. So we are going to gone through with the logics. Due to some technical issues, I could not able to get all question details right there on a screen, as the data was there in an image format, so we are unable to convert to the text. But whatever we can able to recognize, we got convert in a text, and that set of questions here we are going to be starts. So let us begin with here. All right, everyone, please confirm that the question can able to see on his screen right there. Yes, quick, yes or no?
Yes,
Can you able to see the questions right there? Aisha, yes, sir. Okay. From YouTube Live and Facebook Live, can you guys please confirm me the question? Can you able to see right there? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, great. Now let us try to read the question and let us make them convert into our coding, and let us try to again pass with all the test cases right at here. So this question is actually from the question number one. Okay, so as we discussed yesterday, the question number will be in marks, and as per our execution right at there, so we guys have to solve with all the test cases done. If we can able to solve this question with all the test cases done, and the question two with that respective data of like passing the public test cases, that will be more enough to crack the coding route. So let us read it and try to understand along with the execution. So the question given here as the element equal to the sum of all the remaining element. This is actually the title for our question. And what is this description right here we are supposed to be received with? So description right here is, we have given an array with the n positive elements, which means the size of array is n, that is what for sure, and they have considered all elements in the array is all positive values. So we have only positive values in our array, and the array with the size of n we have supposed to got created for our program, and our task is to find the element which is equals to the sum of all elements of the array expect itself. So I have to find that element which must be equals to the sum of all the array element except that own element right at there. And to begin understand these respective arrays right at here, so for a part of example you guys can see on screen, so we have array with the size of 4, and the elements are 1, 2, 3 and 6, and we have to find out the array elements those are equals to the size of all rest of the array. And when it comes to the output, you guys can see the output comes here as a 6. And why the 6 is got chosen right at there? Because if you guys can able to add all the remaining values, that is remaining values of the array is 1 plus 2 plus 3, so that is equals to that current element, and that is the reason 6 is the output. And for the test case 2, what will we guys are going to done right now is we are having the array with the size of 4 and every single element is the same. So if you can find out the sum of the array and if you can able to subscribe the current element also, we can't able to receive that kind of elements. That is what the element equal to the sum of all the remaining element. That is the reason it equals or it returns as the -1. So let us understood this logic in the correct aspect and let us implement the logic same at right at the position. So here what we have to do as we have to find out the element which is equal to the sum of all remaining elements from the array. And to do that, so very beginning what you have to do is you have to find out all the sum of array elements. So let us understood this along with the test cases 1. So if I am going to find out the sum of all the elements from this array, the array which is named as 1, 2, 3, and 6. So if we can see the sum of all the element is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 6, which is equals to 12. So what we can get is the sum of all array elements right at here, which is 12, and how we are going to segregate with the output as a 6. So for this, again, I'm going to iterate from the array element. So let us iterate from the array element. I have to subtract the current element and I have to check that result. If that result after subtracting that current element is returns with the same value of the array, then that must be our element where we are dealing with our data. And to do that, so let us say I'm comparing with 1 right now because 1 is our actual first element from the array. So if I'm going to say as a 1, so if you guys can subscribe that from the entire sum of the array, that is 12 minus 1, you may find out an absolute difference. You may return a code with 1 minus 12 also. That's fine. That's not an issue with this. So you can get the result as 11. And that is exactly not match with the current value of array or the current element right there. That is the reason we can't able to choose 1 at this point. Now, similar in the execution, if I'm going to choose with the element 2, and now let us work with this. So I subscribed or this reduce or difference this value from the entire sum of array, that is 12 minus 2. So it is going to return the output as 10. So again, if you guys can notice, the 10 is not equals to the current element of array, as our current element of array is 2. So again, I'm not going to choose the entire elements. So let us work for 3 now. So if I'm going to work for 3, again, I'm going to subtract that 3 from the entire sum. So I'm going to say 12 minus 3. So you guys can see 12 minus 3, it is going to return as 9. And that is also not matched with the current element of the array. So again, we are not going to choose the 3. But when I'm going to deal with 6, so you guys can see at that point, 12 minus 6, that returns with the same element that compares with the array, and that is the reason I'm going to set my result to the 6 and I'm going to print them to the output window. Well, for the second test case, how this logic is going to be works, let us again apply with the same rule. So here we are having 4 elements with the value of 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So this 2 plus 2 plus 2, which comes up to, again, the sum of this array will be becomes as 8. So total sum of array is 8. Now you can subscribe all these elements right at there, and you may see, like if I'm going to works on a first element, so 8 minus 2 will be becomes at 6. And that is not going to match with the current element. And unfortunately, we are having all elements available here with the value of 2. So every time the output returns as a 6, and as that is not going to match, which means our output must be of -1. Okay, this is the exact logic for this entire question. I hope some of you, while reading the question, you might thinking that yes, it's quite easy to implement, but when it's actually starting to the implement, we have to follow some steps right at there. Okay, before moving to the code, I want everyone from this call, from the Facebook meeting, again from the Zoom calls and the YouTube live, Please guys do confirm here. I hope you have understood with this logic for this coding question. Yes, is that clear? Quick yes or no?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Now let us begin with the implementation. What we guys are going to do is, again, I'm going to create a file. So let us create a file at here. As again, we guys are going to implement this code using Python editor. So let me open the Python ideally. So here we are. I'm going to create a new file. So let me create the new file here at the right side of my screen. And I'm going to save this file as, let us say, TCS coding day 2. So as per our problem statement at very beginning, what I wanted to create is I have to read the array with the size. Okay, in the problem statement, the size is not given, but the actual reading of array, it must be with the size. So let us read that array element first. So I'm going to get back here and I just say the size, let us take it in a n. So n is of integer input without any inputting messages. Yesterday, we guys have understood this. Okay, the inputting and outputting messages plays a very important role when it comes to passing the test cases. So if there is no any inputting or outputting messages are given, you should not able to write in your code also. And now I have to read an array. So in a Python, the array must be going to read in the list value. So let us read that value. So here I'm going to say, let us say my array name is ARR equals to list of map of, as the data that we are going to receive is separated by the space. So I'm going to read them separated by the space and converting them to the integer along with input with the split function. Now let us perform the rest of the task. In the rest of the task, what we have to do, as we have to find out the sum of array elements. So to find out the sum of array elements, I'm going to create a variable here as a capital yes, and we have an inbuilt function to find out the sum of array. So I'm going to say sum as an inbuilt function and that name of array. So it will automatically find out the sum of all the array elements and store it to the S. Now, the next step that we have to do is we have to iterate all the array elements, find out the absolute difference in between sum and the current array element. And if that current array element and their difference is matches with the given element right at there, then our result must be that element. Else my result will be of what? -1. So I have to set here the value of result as -1 initially. So if there is any other element that I'm going to found with the same condition right at there, well, in that case, I'm going to change that value. And if I did not found any other element right at there, so that -1 will be printed on a screen. And that is the reason we have written the result equals to -1. Now, next to this, we are going to access the element. So for element in this array, as per our logic, we are going to subscribe or that subtract the value of current element from the sum and checking whether the respective difference is matches with the current element or not. And to do that, so here I'm going to say if that sum minus element is equals to element. So if that sum of the array is getting differentiated by the current element, and if that result is again returns with the current element, then I'm going to say my result variable equals to that respective current element. And after this, I'm going to print that value. So I'm going to close the if statement. I'm going to close the for, and after completion of for, we are going to print that result. Okay, it may be of whatever, maybe of -1, or maybe any certain element that we have found that matches with element equal to the sum of element of the array. Now let us save the code. All right. Now let us run the file along with the first test cases. First test case is having the array input as 1, 2, 3, and 6. So let us save this and let us run the code. So the value of n for the first test cases is 4, and the array elements separated by the space are 1, 2, 3, and 6, and hence the output 6 returns right at there. So test case 1 is successfully matched. Now let us run the same code for the test cases 2. And for the test cases 2 also, we are having same length, that is what 4, and the array elements right at here is what 2 by 4 times. And here we don't have any such elements where that sum matches with the given value. So it going to returns with what? -1 right at here. I hope everyone from this class, from this all execution, have understand what is this logic got implement right here on a screen. Guys, is that clear with this? Quick yes or no? Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, from the YouTube Live and Facebook Live, guys, please confirm. Is that clear with this so far? Right, Sneha, yes, sir. Utkarsha, Kansha, yes, sir. Sai Chaitanya. Okay, that's fine. All right, great. Okay, now the second question I'm going to share right here on your screen. Now you guys have to think over there, and again one more time try to understand the important aspects related to the coding question logic, and you have to tell me the logic right here on your screen. Okay, let us get back to the second question here on your screen. This is the second question. Please read it properly. If you find out any single solution for this, you can either type in a comment or you can unmute yourself and tell me the logic. I got received here with some answers in call. First sort the array in descending order, and then reverse each element and check reverse number is equals to the original number, and then print that element. Okay, that's fine. Okay, result equal to initially -1. Then sort the array and take the last element from the array and check if it is a palindrome or not. Okay, if yes, then it is stored in result variable, and we are going to check like the same and print the result. Okay, that's fine. I got received with some comments in YouTube also. First, we have to find out the palindrome number, whether the number is largest or not. Okay, first find out the palindrome number in the array, and what compare with other palindrome number which is greater, we can able to print. Okay, so some sort of student have understand what is logic exactly behind this. But my original concern when it comes to these kind of questions, I will suggest you to not use any kind of sorting, inbuilt methods for your application, just to be make sure that I can able to solve it within a less time or something. Well, in that case, if you are going to use any sorting algorithm or something right at your coding question, well, there itself you might get received with the time complexity issues, because if you are going to sort the respective program or respective array, so it is going to depends on values n log n, or maybe of order of n square 2. If the array is already in worst case, so it is going to take n square. So unnecessarily like adding the sorting code to our program, that is going to increase the time complexity of a program. Instead of this, what you can do is, as we are having two different tasks here, one is what finding out the largest number, and other one is the palindrome. So you can first find out the largest number, and once you find out the largest number, at the same point you can check for that is the greatest number from the area or not. And to do that, so what kind of technique that we are going to follow, let us check in that code right at here. So for this, what I'm going to do, let us get back to the code, and here I'm going to write with that execution. So first, as per my implementation, I want n to be got input from the keyboard and the array elements. Okay, like this. And the next step that I wanted to perform right at here is I have to create that result. And if there are no any array elements or no such a largest palindromic array is going to found, so I have to print -1. So I'm going to say that result as -1. Now next step that I'm going to perform here is what, like simply in the format of, first I'm going to access the element and I'm going to find out the maximum element from my entire array. And to do that, so I'm going to create a variable as max. So if in a Python, if you're going to create a variable as a max, as the max is an inbuilt function, so I will suggest you to not create a max variable. Instead of max, I'm going to write here mx, and that initial element of the max array is of array of 0. Okay, and now I have to find out the largest element also, and I have to find out the palindromic element also. And to do that, so going to iterate from the array. So let us iterate from the array. So for element in that array, and I'm going to check if that element is greater than the current max. Okay, if that element is greater than the current max, and as I wanted to check with the palindrome, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert that integer value of current element of array to the string, and then I can easily check that comparison along with the reverse by using colon -1. So this both of the condition I'm writing in a one single attempt, and this is how it looks like. So I'm going to say here as, okay, this string of element, okay, is equals to string of element of colon -1. So here I'm finding out the reverse of that string by converting them to the string, as well as I'm checking whether the reverse of that string which we are converting is matches with the current string element or not. If it is matches, and if my current element is greater than max, in that case to say this max equals to our respectable value of that element. So I'm going to say that max of the current element. So my right now current element is the maximum and as well as a palindromic number. And at the last, as I wanted to print both of the values. Okay, so as per our logic, we guys have to print -1 if there are no elements are found. Okay, if no elements are found, then how I'm going to check with this? As I have set my current maximum element is array of 0. So if the max is not going to change, which means if my max element is equals to array of 0, well, I'm going to print that result directly. So that is of -1. Else, what I'm going to do? I'm going to print the value of mx, and that must be the greatest palindromic number from the array. Now, let us save this code and let us work this code along with the test cases given. So for the first test cases, we have 4 array as an input along with these datas, and out of this we have to cross check with that same results is going to come or not. So let us do with this. So I'm going to save the code. Let us run the file. So we have the value of n as a 4 and the array elements are 1, 2, 3, 2. Then the next value that we have is 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. Let me write it here first. That is 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. And the next value that we will have is 5 times 9, 1. Okay, let me write it. 5 times 9, 1. So the result of these test cases must be of what? 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. That will be the largest palindromic number. And if I am going to run the same code again with the test cases 2, let us run with this. So for the test cases 2, what kind of inputs that we are supposed to have? Let us cross check here. Let me close this and rerun once again so that you guys can able to see on my screen properly. So here we are. So that is again, I guess input is 4. Let me cross check. No, input is not 4. The input is 6. The number of element is 6. And the values we will have is 1 to 5 and 50. Okay, so let us do with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 50. So we guys can see in the result, the maximum palindromic number is what 5 going to be printed on a screen. I hope you guys have understood with this logic properly, how we have built this code. Again, if you wanted to build in Java, the logic will be of same related to the Java or C++ programming. Their syntax are going to change it right there. And definitely you can able to solve with the current execution of the logic. Yes, guys, quick confirm me here. I hope you have understand this logic right at here and this code that we got written. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. From the Facebook Live, please confirm me right at here. I hope you guys have understood with this. All right. Great. Great. Okay. Last question from the session today, that is again belongs to some part of array concepts. So let us try to understand them. Okay, these last question I'm going to create right here on a screen. That is a really most important question. And as I told you, TCS is not going to ask any question repeatedly, but this question has been asked by so many times because this is actually belongs to implementing the core logic. So please do follow with that scenario properly. What is the question given right at here is question number 3 is find out the difference between, or we can say find out the second largest number from the array without using any inbuilt methods. So this is the question that we will have. We have to find out the second largest number from the array, and that too without using any inbuilt methods. To do that, so what kind of scenarios we will have? So let us say for the inputs, we are having an array that is unordered format, that is not in a sorting. So let us say array with the length of 9 we will have, and we have these array elements right at here. Okay, 9 elements I have to write. Maybe some duplicates elements there on screen. 89. Let me check how many elements are going to form. 2, 4, 6, and 3. That is what? 9. So out of this, the second largest element that we will have. So if you are going to check the second largest element, so in this case is what? 89. And we have to find out this without using any inbuilt method. These kind of questions are there. Well, for these kind of questions, if you guys are going to use any kind of inbuilt method, let us say you are sorting the array and then you are returning the elements by the index, in that cases on your screen they might be shown you as test cases passed, but all these codes are going to examine. By that time you are going to receive 0 marks for this question. Now very important aspect right at here is what kind of core logics that I have to be retrieve here to find out the second largest number. You just think over there for some certain time and tell me what must be the exact logic for the same. All right, guys, any suggestion on a logic how we can able to do this without using any inbuilt methods? Sort the array using bubble sort and print the index as a -2. Okay, that's fine, but for bubble sort again, the time complexity matters. Let us say we have to solve the same problem statement along with the time complexity of order of n. In that case, bubble sort is not going to support us because bubble sort will gives the time complexity of order of n only at the base test cases. So maybe our data is of in hidden test cases, our data is of again in worst case or maybe in average case. In that case, it is not going to help us to do with that. So again, any other suggestion, guys, that do you have? Yes, from the Facebook Live, YouTube Live. See, to implement a logic, you have to think over it. The logic is not that approach where you guys can just able to see the code and you understand it and then yes, you are implementing. That is not a practice for the coding. To write, doing a practice for the coding is of the way to looking at that logic in a different aspects. A same code I have to or I'm going to convert in a three different ways, then that is actually the logic of implementing the coding question. That is how the coding questions are supposed to be used. And if only if you have multiple approaches to solve a single question, then and then only you can able to solve that coding questions in the exam rounds. It is not just for TCS, it is applied for rest of your Accenture drive, it is getting applied for emphasis or the drive where the coding questions is got supported. So try to think over it, what must be the logic on the scene and try to answer. Take I and j variables and compare the index. That is also belongs to kind of sortings again, Akansha. I got a comment right here from the YouTube live, sorry, from the Facebook live as we can find out the maximum number first, and then we can find out the second maximums very easily by iterating through the array. That is the exact logic which can support us for order of n. And one more person in the Zoom call has got replied. Let me check with the logic. Find out the maximum number by iterating, and again at a time of iterations store the previous maximum value. Once we reach it at that maximum number, you can find out the previous maximum number right at there, and this is the right logic to be got implemented. Okay guys, what we are going to do, as I want order of n time complexity and I want second largest number from the array, that too without using any inbuilt methods. So first, okay, let us work with the program. I'm going to explain it step by step. So here in the program, what we guys are going to do, as we have to read the array elements with the size and the array from our code. So again, I'm going to put that code similar. So as per our logic, very first thing that we have to do is we are going to create two variable. One is maximum and other one is the previous maximum. Okay, let us create them. For the maximum, I'm going to say mx and I'm going to set it to the array of 0. And the previous maximum, again previous mx, I'm going to set it to the again array of 0. And then what we are going to check with, I have to iterate all over the elements, and if the current element is greater than the maximum element, in that case we are going to replace this both of the variables. The previous max must be replaced with existing max and the max element must be replaced with the current element of that array. Okay, let us check with this how we are going to write a code. So here I'm going to say for element in that array, and if that element is greater than the current maximum, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to say this previous maximum equals to current maximum, and the current maximum equals to that respective element, so that in order of n time complexity I can able to retrieve that information very easily. And after completion of these for loop, we are going to print that previous max on the console. Now let us check with this on the same given input. So I'm going to copy this input, write it here. Let us run the code, and here the size of the array element is 9, and these are the array elements, and the result must be of 89. And this is how we are going to check with the same, and the same approach that you guys can follow with the different concepts. Like again, there itself you again required the two variables to create with the maximum one and the second maximum one. Okay, so let us create with this. So again, I'm going to, instead of writing with this, okay, let me write it in a comment so that at last you guys can able to cross check what is the basic difference right at there. So I'm going to create two variables here, the max one, and I'm going to set it to the array of 0, and the max 2, I'm going to set it to the array of 0. First, I'm going to find out the actual maximum value from this entire array. So let us find out this. So to use again the for loop to find out the actual maximum element. So for element in array, and if that element is greater than the max one, then the max one is must be equals to element. Now using this for loop, if you guys are observed, here we have find out the actual one maximum number from the array. Now we have to find out the second maximum number. I'm going to iterate from the array, and here I'm going to say if that element is greater than our max 2. Now in this case I have to apply it for a max 2 because I have to find out the second maximum. So max 2 and the element is not equals to max 1. That is what our actual largest element that we will have. In this case, it is going to return the second largest element from the array. So I'm going to say max 2 equals to that element. And after completion of these for loop, I'm going to print right here on a screen. Now let us apply the same input to the code given here. So I'm going to run the program, and here again I'm going to say the size is 9. These are the array elements, and you guys can see it returns with the same output one more time. So you have two different approaches to solve this question, that too without using any single inbuilt methods. So you can simply say them like you can set it to the previous or the maximum previous, and you can update that value that returns with the order of n, or you can use the two for loops to find out the second maximum value. Okay, well, for this logic, let us say I have to find out the third maximum. So I have to take a reference for this logic as a three variables, and I have to make them update with the three variable values. And if the same logic that I have to apply for the third largest element from the array, in that case, I'm going to be works with three respective for loops that supports order of n, and I can able to find out that respective value very easily in our array elements. I hope you guys have understood this logic and how to implement with the code. And if you wanted to implement with Java or something, again, you followed with the same logic and try to implement right at there. Okay, guys, quick yes or no. I hope you have understood this logic correctly along with the code. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Now for today, this is all the coding question that we guys have done so far. Well, tomorrow is Ganesh Chaturthi in Maharashtra. So, what we guys are going to do is we are having a classes tomorrow by 10:30 in the morning. So please put a alarm or something right at there so that you guys can able to work. So you can able to join at 10:30 in the morning. And we are going to share with your TPOs, respective TPOs are going to share in a group. Along with that same timings you have to join. And tomorrow we guys are going to deal with three or four more questions like the same. Those belongs to question number one. And when we started with the data structure, the kind of information related to that container and that actual program that we guys are going to check with here. Okay, Bhushan from YouTube Live has put a comment as, can we use a merge sort so that the time complexity will be again reduced to n login? Yeah, definitely using a merge sort, the time complexity is going to reduce n into login, but that is not similar to the order of n. So that makes in a sense. So if you wanted to solve the questions for order of n, in that cases, merge sort also is not going to suitable for us. But moreover important concern when it comes to merge sort, what I will suggest you, why I have chosen the Python language to implement all this code, because in Python we can able to easily write the 10 lines of code in a very short time. Okay, if the same code I wanted to write in Java, or if the same code I wanted to write in C++, well, depends on a typing speed that you will have, that you might not required or you might not get that proper exact time to write that answer for the coding question. So my suggestion to the entire team, from the YouTube Live to the Facebook Live and to the Zoom calls, those students here, those have joined, I will suggest you that you must choose the less programming so that we can able to check with the hidden test cases. So our task is to solve the hidden test cases as well as the public test cases. And for that, like for one coding question, as we knows that we are having 20 or 25 minutes to solve it. Well, to do that, so you should have to write a minimum code, and that should be written with the maximum in output. So if you can able to do this in less time, then you have a plenty amount of time in your hand to check for the hidden test cases. And when it comes to the merge sort, then we have to write n number of line of code right there. That might not help me to like type all the code in the respective time. So again, it is going to put up with the same. I hope I have answered with your question, Bhushan. All right, now coming to the next scenario, as per our schedule, tomorrow we are having a class by 10:30. The messages are going to be shared in a group, and links is going to share before 15 minutes of session. So everyone try to join tomorrow just for a 1 hour, and a day after tomorrow, everything schedules are going to share right at there. So thanks for like watching this YouTube live, watching this Facebook live, and joining the Zoom call, guys. Those who are new to our channel at both of the platform, kindly give us the thumbs up and do subscribe to our channel. Number of students are must be equals to number of likes needs to be there for the videos. And if you're new to our channel or new to our page to the Facebook, you guys please do follow and subscribe to our channel right at there. Do not forget to share with the details. Tomorrow again with some sort of this programming we are going to meet by 10:30, and again we are going to understand each and every programmatical approach in detail. Thanks for joining to this video call, guys.